Hey guys, welcome. Jeff Phillips, Meet the Firms Week Day 2 afternoon session. I am fired up about this session because we're going to be talking about your career and what the future looks like because it's going to look a lot different than it looks today. Michael, would you agree with that?
I totally agree.
Um, hey guys, a couple of housekeeping items. One is every session we're doing polling questions. We have some post-event surveys. We want to know your feedback. It's our intention to do this for many years to come. The better feedback you can give us, the better the event can be. So we're grateful for that. You can use your question panel for feedback and the surveys, but please answer the polling questions because that helps us understand about you. Want to extend a welcome to CPA Academy members. Thanks, guys, for being on. So, as you may know, this content and this event is geared towards students. Meet the Firms Week is a student event. But the content that we're talking about today is applicable to students, to CPAs, to people no matter where you are in your career, because we're dealing with what the future holds. But you may hear, in the context of students, but this is very valuable for CPAs. So Meet the Firms Week is completely free for the employers and the students. And I want to talk for a second about one of our sponsors, which is Gleim CPA Review. Guys, this is a great company. It's based in Florida. They have literally helped millions of people pass different credential exams, including the CPA exam. They're a part of this event. They help sponsor this event, which means they help put this event on for you. So a couple cool things that they're doing is a free demo of Gleim. So you can actually pick a section of the CPA exam and do a little demo run with Gleim. They're offering a 15% discount on their products, and they're also doing something that we're doing a little Q&A session after the webinar. So Monica Metz from Gleim will be at their page on Accounting Fly to answer questions about the CPA exam, about Gleim. Stop by and say hello. I'm going to send you out a couple of links while we're just getting going here. That way we're good to go. So this first link is to demo Gleim. You can check this out. So take a look at that. And the other one is stop by their page to ask the CPA exam experts about the CPA exam, about Gleim. They're even going to give you a free future CPA t-shirt if you stop by. We just love the company, love their product. And if nothing else, stop by their page. There's a comment section at the very bottom of the page where you can say thanks for helping put this event on. But I want you to get to know that product because we like Gleim a whol lot. And they've been doing this since 1974, by the way, so they've been around. So let me talk about today, and then we'll get going. We're talking about the future, thinking about your future. Literally, the profession is not going to look the way it does today when you are 10 years into your career or in 10 years from now, wherever you're at. From pricing to the technology you're going to use to how teams are organized, it's going to be radically different. So are you going to be able to take advantage of that? Are you going to be prepared for it? Our objectives are you're going to learn about value pricing and how that is different than billing, talking about emerging technology, how teams are going to be different. You're going to find out in a few minutes that a lot of people who are in the profession now will not be there in 10 years. And that makes a big difference to you. So Michael Elliott is going to walk us through this, and he's an expert on this topic and speaks actually quite regularly on it. So Michael is in Ohio. He's a CPA. He's been practicing since 2007 and is with a small local firm located east of Cleveland. And I know that Michael's going to tell you about that, but he's about to become the managing partner of that firm, and he's a 2012 graduate of the AICPA's Leadership Academy. So Michael spends a lot of time talking about the dynamics of transitioning a firm between the current generation and to the future generation. So that's a lot of cool stuff to handle. I hope that you're ready for it. So Michael, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this, and I can't wait to jump into this. And I'm going to stick around and fire off the polling questions when those time arise. How do I say that? I don't know. When the time is right, right?
When they arise, yes. Well,
Cool.
thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate the opportunity to just come here and be involved in the Meet the Firms Week. Excited when I found out what the topic of this sort of Meet the Firms Week was all about. I'm super pumped up. I'm pumped up about small firms. I know that's what this Meet the Firms Week is. We're pushing small firms. I'm a passionate advocate for small firms in the United States, just because I think it's where I've built my career and where I think there's a ton of opportunity for people coming into the profession. And so I think it's going to be awesome the next 10 years if you decide to go into public practice in a small firm. So what I'm going to do first is I just want to talk a little bit about me. So I graduated summa cum laude from Franklin University, which is a school here in Ohio. To sort of throw the technology angle into it, I graduated. I did almost the entire thing online. So something about me. I was certified in 2009 in the state of Ohio, and when I graduated and passed the exam, I was actually the youngest CPA in the state of Ohio. So I sort of can hang my hat on that for a while. I've spent, as Jeff said, 9 years in public practice, all local firm experience. So I don't have any Big Four experience. I don't have any, large regional firm experience. And so everything that I have to say is built on my knowledge and experience as being involved in small local firms. So that's all I know. I'm a 2012 graduate, as Jeff said, of the AICPA's Leadership Academy, and I do want to take a second to just plug that as you move into the profession and as you hopefully are going to become CPAs, if you're not graduated already and pursuing that, once you are and once you have some experience in the profession, this is a program you really need to look at. AICPA's Leadership Academy changed my life as a professional, and I recommend it to all CPAs that if you have the opportunity and are selected to go through the program, do it, because there's nothing better out there. I'm a member of the Ohio Society of CPAs and the AICPA, and I'm involved in a number of different organizations, parts of those, Cleveland Young CPAs. I'm involved in something called the Public Relations Advisory Council for the Ohio Society. In Ohio, we endorse candidates as a profession, so I'm involved in that committee. I'm on various AICPA task forces, etc. And perhaps one that I'm most proud of is recently, October 1st, I actually rolled on and was selected to be a member of the AICPA's PCPS, which is the Private Company Practice section for AICPA. So what that means is it's the committee that sort of organizes the initiatives that AICPA has around small firms. And so this is an awesome, if you're involved in a firm, ask your firm if they're a member of PCPS, because there's no better value as a CPA firm than PCPS. Finally, I'm the treasurer of Agape Christian Academy, a small local Christian school here in the Ohio area. So this time, Jeff, if you want to throw up the first polling question, and we can get right to that.
You got it. Here it comes. So we want to understand about you, where you're at in motivation for selecting a workplace, whether you're working currently, you're looking for a job. And I hope this question is not too confusing, but okay, obviously we're into compensation, but what else motivates you in selecting a workplace? And Michael, one of the questions is, nothing motivates my choice more than compensation. Or you can select as many as you want, actually.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Sorry, Jeff. We're gonna get into that, but I'm really curious with the attendees that are on the call. I'm really curious to know, are we like, are us millennials like previous generations, and we're compensated primarily, and we're motivated primarily by compensation and titles, or is there something more? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, I'm gonna show the results, and I'm also gonna read them out to you. We'll give about 5 more seconds. So select whatever ones that matter to you, and then hit submit. But I'll give them like 5 more seconds, guys. Thanks for got about 85%. So I think we're probably good to go and close this out. Give you 3 seconds there. Okay, I'm going to share the results. I don't know if you can see them, Michael, but I'm going to, this is really interesting, Michael, can you see these?
I cannot see those, no.
Then I'm going to read them off to you. So 71% chose work-life balance. 48% chose career skills, development training. Only 11% said nothing motivates my choice more than compensation.
Interesting.
31% said the mission and the values or the organization. I think that's fairly high. 17% a clear career path to partner or ownership. So by and large, the largest two are work-life balance and career skills development training. I'm going to go ahead and have the results, and it'll bring back up your presentation.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so that's really interesting results, and I'll be honest, it's what we're seeing across the profession as we have new staff entering the profession, specifically staff wanting to work with smaller firms. Is we're seeing that 2/3 to 3/4, which is the 71% that fell in here today, desire this idea of work-life balance. Now, in a bit, I'm going to tell you why I think work-life balance is sucky and doesn't exist. But we'll get into that in a second. So hold on to that. So the first thing that we're going to do, the first thing I want to cover in this presentation is I want to talk about the state of public accounting today. So this isn't necessarily, the viewpoint of the whole profession. It's just simply the way that somebody who's in the trenches of public accounting like myself, it's how I view the profession. So this is what I would call sort of the macroeconomic trends that are facing the profession today. And I just want to give you a general idea as you start to move into the profession. I want you to have an idea of what some of the big trends, sort of the big macro issues that we're facing today are. And so the first trend that we're seeing is this idea of an aging profession. So we're a profession that's in tremendous flux right now. According to the most recent AICPA statistics that we have available, the estimate is that somewhere around 75% of active CPAs are within 10 years of retirement. Okay, let that sink in for just a second. 75% of active CPAs in public practice are going to be retiring in the next 10 years. That is simply staggering. If I were to tell you that 75% of practicing physicians were within 10 years of retirement, all of a sudden there would be panic, right? And so I think it's a big deal in our profession as well. So what does that mean for people my age? I'm a millennial. What does that mean for you guys as you're entering the profession? To me, it means huge opportunity, right? So with the retirement of older CPAs, we're gonna begin to see clients looking around for new CPA firms. Clients in public practice, our clients stick around for 20 years. That's what I've been told. They'll stick around for 20 years. So the fact that a lot of these clients, their CPAs, the partners that they're working with at these firms, the fact that those people are going to be retiring means that there's going to be huge opportunity for up-and-coming CPA firms in the profession. And so an aging profession, while it's scary because we need to know how we're going to run these firms in the future, how we're going to service the clients in the future, it's just huge opportunity. I don't think that there's been a time in the past 50 years where there's so much opportunity that's available for new accounting graduates. In my opinion, this is a great profession to be entering into right now. So the next sort of macroeconomic issue that we're facing is pricing pressure. As the economy has faltered, the last number of years, it's been rough since about 2008. Things are better now, but we still face major pricing pressure in the profession. Our clients have become more and more price sensitive. Our clients are demanding, more service without serious increases in our accounting fees. And as the number of firms that are practicing across geographical markets continues to increase, I've got competition nationwide now. I don't have to deal with competitors. I've got competition everywhere, which just continues to put more and more pressure on our fees. We're in a day and age today where even slight fee increases are difficult to implement with our clients. I mean, we did a price increase 2 years ago here at our firm, and while clients understood, they're definitely not happy paying more because they feel like they have other options they can go look into. And so with this pricing pressure, so our gross revenue side is being pressured, but our internal firm costs, we're certainly not going down. The cost of having competent staff, competent team members, benefits, those are rising dramatically year after year. And while we're not able to increase our fees, so it's made for a difficult environment. And to be honest with you, it's a very competitive environment today in which CPA firms are being forced to compete. The next trend is this idea of talent shortage, which is kind of related to the idea of aging profession. So as we have more and more professionals aging out, we're having a hard time filling that pipeline in. And as the number of CPAs retiring continues to increase over the next 10 years, firms are just being forced to ramp up hiring. I mean, every firm that I know of right now is pretty much hiring. Unless you're a sole proprietor and you have no desire to grow your firm, everybody's hiring today. But part of the problem with what we're seeing is that accounting programs in a lot of universities across the country are actually at capacity. We have a lot of foreign students coming in to take accounting in our universities. And we have a lot of people here in our country that are also desiring to go into accounting, and it's just making for accounting programs that are at capacity. which kind of leads into the next issue with talent shortage in the fact that there is a significant shortage in the number of accounting PhDs to run those accounting programs. There's just we face a major hurdle in the fact that we don't have enough accounting PhDs to run these accounting programs. And so because of that, AICPA has created several programs, including a program to offer grants to potential PhD students in accounting. And so I guess I would encourage you that if you're more research minded than you are maybe practice minded, there's opportunity for you. Our profession still needs you. We desperately need people to start pursuing PhDs. So anyway, many firms, especially those that are playing in sort of your middle market of public accounting firms, like your large regional firms and your large local firms, they're having a difficult time attracting students to come work at their firms upon graduation. And here's why. As much as we love the Big Four, and so if you work at a Big Four, this is not necessarily just a knock against Big Four, but as much as we love the Big Four have made a conceited effort to draw all the eligible and bright students into their firms. And so it's sort of been the thing to do is to go work for a Big Four firm. And so that's making it incredibly difficult for small firms like mine and for larger firms, even like regional firms, top 100 firms outside the Big Four. They're having a hard time getting staff because everybody wants to work at Big Four firms and super large firms. And so that's making it very difficult to hire. But I don't want you to think that talent shortage is just an issue at like your Big Four and your top 100 and your large local firms. Talent shortage is an issue that's facing even us small firms. I've had discussions with 2 or 3 practitioners, friends of mine recently, that they would hire. If they could find competent staff who fit their culture, they would hire. I know our firm, we're growing, and we're always looking around for good people that can fit our culture. But I'll tell you what, good staff, good team members are really hard to find today. So again, another reason to continue coming into this profession, because there's a ton of opportunity and we desperately need you. The next macroeconomic topic I want to talk about is this idea of generational shifting. And I'm sure you've heard this over and over and over again. But as millennials are descending into the workforce, so I'm a millennial, so I feel like I can talk about this. As we descend into the workforce, and as the boomer generation begins to exit and retire, we're seeing a dramatic shift in the way that firms are being forced to interact with their staff. You know, whereas boomers, I think, prided themselves on being in the office, putting their time in, paying their dues, millennials, we pride ourselves on being free from a designated location. I mean, you know, I don't want to use the free-range chicken analogy, but let's be honest. A lot of millennials, we want to be free-range staff, right? So we don't want to be tied to an office. We don't want to be chained to a desk. We want to have the ability to come and go. In the book Drive, which I highly recommend you pick up and take a look at, author Daniel Pink, he talks about the fact that millennials were motivated by 3 things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And those are significantly different motivations than the motivations of many that were in the boomer generation, even those in Gen X and Gen Y. Our motivations are different. And so as a firm, I need to figure out, hey, if I want to have millennial staff come work for me, what do I need to do to make it so my firm is appealing to you? What do I have to do? That the onus is on me to do that as a firm owner. And so I think millennials, because we have different hopes, dreams, and desires of other generations, as we talked about in that polling question, millennials were not motivated by money and benefits, and the polling really shows that really good. We're motivated by things more like feelings and emotions. And I know this sounds kind of soft, but let's be honest. You know, millennials, we want to know that the firm that we work for stands for the things that we value. It's not just a place to go to work. We want to know that we're a part of something bigger than, quote, just accounting. You know, I think this is why we're beginning to see many firms, especially larger firms, do a really good job getting involved in the community in different community service projects. A lot of the big firms are giving their employees, 40 hours a week, 40 hours a year, 20 hours a year, some number of hours where they're requiring them to go out and volunteer their time, because they're realizing that that's very important to staff. You can give them money, but if you give them the opportunity to serve others, that's even more important to them. Larger firms, especially larger firms, are offering programs to millennial employees that allow them to live and lead lifestyles that sort of fit into their belief. Things like flexible work arrangements, working from home, putting an emphasis on culture. And I'm not just talking about throwing a ping pong table in the lunch area. That's not culture. But I'm talking about creating a culture where we focus on professional development, where we focus on serving our clients, where we focus on caring and loving people more than just about billing hours out. That's the culture that the millennial generation is really looking for. And so I want to dive for just a second into this idea of work-life balance. And I guess I should have edited the poll question before we threw this out there, before Jeff threw it out there. In that, I don't believe in the concept of work-life balance. And so here's what I mean by work-life balance. Work-life balance, how I think a lot of people think of work-life balance is they think, I've got my work here in this hand and I've got my personal life here in this hand. And how do I do just enough personal stuff and just enough work stuff to sort of balance things out, right? I just think that's a bad concept. I think a lot of millennials think it's a bad concept. Quite honestly, I think it's a dated concept. I wish we would stop using that terminology. Instead of work-life balance, I believe in this idea of work-life integration. And so what I mean by work-life integration is I mean that I want my business, my work stuff, and my personal stuff, I want to integrate those two together. And to be honest with you, I have to. And here's why. Because we all have one of these, right? And so I'm always connected to my clients. I'm always connected to my family. I always have my email. I always have my phone, right? And so because I have all those things, my life is super integrated together. And because of that, I'm not trying to balance out my work and my personal. I'm trying to figure out the best way that I can do both of those at the same time. And I believe that we can. And I believe that if you want to, as a firm, if you want to attract and retain quality staff, you need to create an environment that allows your staff to integrate their personal life and their work life together. And I feel like as millennials continue to enter the workplace, that if you're not able to do that, you're going to struggle to retain them for long periods of time. And I'll be honest with you, I think this is why a lot of people go do 2 years at the Big Four and then they leave, because the Big Four talks about work-life balance. And I don't believe work-life balance works today. All right, so I'm going to get off that soapbox and jump down to the next macroeconomic trend. So it's this idea that as a profession, we're very reactionary. And we're going to cover this in just a bit, but I just wanted to throw it out there that in general, public accounting has been a profession that we would rather work with the finished product than create something along the way. Now, this is not all CPA firms. This is not everybody in public practice, but this is the majority. This is sort of the mean, the average. And what I mean by that is this. We're more comfortable as a profession handling your audit and your tax return than we are with giving you ongoing business coaching and consulting. We're very reactionary in our service model, which sort of leads us right into this next idea in that instead of being reactionary, what does that mean? Well, it means that we're compliance-driven and compliance-focused. And I think that I would probably offend some people that are running firms today, some managing partners that are running firms today by saying this, because they're going to say, hey, look, being compliance-driven and compliance-focused has worked for 50 years. Why do I need to change? And I don't want to spend a ton of time here right now, but let me just say this. I think that people in public accounting tend to think only about compliance, and they get stuck in this box. And they get stuck in this box of, well, what do I need to do to make sure that these compliance things, and by compliance I mean you're required to file a tax return. You're required to complete a financial statement if you have a bank loan or something like that. Those are compliance tasks. And I just don't see how it's possible to continue to call ourselves the most trusted business advisor for the profession, because that's what we've been told we are, the most trusted business advisor. I don't see how that's possible if all we ever do is after the fact tax returns and audits. I know it's probably a bold statement for the profession, and it probably perhaps flies maybe even in the face of some of the organizations that I represent. However, I feel it's true that if you want to continue to say that we're the most trusted business advisor to our clients, we need to start living it. We need to start offering real value to our clients instead of just doing compliance work. All right, so I'll jump off of that. We're going to talk about the fact that our profession is slow changing. And here's what I mean by that. Public accounting is changing. You probably just don't notice it because the change that happens in public accounting is kind of like, if you want to watch it, it's kind of like watching grass grow, right? So you finally see that you got to go out and cut the yard, but what you don't see is you don't ever actually see anything going on. And that's exactly what happens in public accounting. Things change really, really slowly. This is one of the major reasons that public accounting is having a difficult time attracting young talent. I firmly believe this because younger people, myself included, we like change. We like to know that things are changing because I'll be honest, change is exciting. We see a lot of younger people deciding to go into fields like technology that are always changing. And if you want an example of how slow public accounting is changing, just look at the integration of U.S. GAAP, so United States Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. I hope you know that, but U.S. GAAP with international accounting standards. Okay, that process is more than 10 years old. It started before I was in the profession, and I will probably be out of the profession before they're done merging U.S. GAAP with international accounting standards. This is a slow moving profession. Now, I will throw this out there and say that I do think that it's good that our profession moves slowly because the public relies on us to provide actionable and clear and honest data so that they can make decisions. So the fact that it's slow is the fact that the profession is slow is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that we really need to think about when we try to draw new talent into the profession. Are we too slow? What can we do to speed this profession up? We need young, energetic people to come into our profession to shake our profession up. We need people who have a passion to see change happen. We need to see people who really want to make a difference in the lives of their of businesses and their clients. We need you to come into our profession to help us change. We desperately need that. There's people doing it today, but we need more and more people to make sure that that change happens. All right, so Jeff, at this point, let's throw out there polling question number 2, if we could.
Yeah, Michael, I think this polling question is a quiz of something that you mentioned earlier for emphasis, but let's see if people are paying attention. So what percentage of current CPAs will be retired in 10 years? And let's see if we get this one right. And I don't know who's going to get it wrong, but if you do, I'm going to call you out. And this is the exact language in your slide, right, Michael? What percentage?
That's right.
Awesome. We are already 80%. I'll give everybody about 10 more seconds. Michael, the talent shortage, you're absolutely right. We see it at Accounting Flight. We are in a period of the highest demand ever for entry-level grads and senior accountants. Literally, the job market is off the charts for accountants. And I typically get the question when I make that statement, well, I'm having trouble finding a job. If you're in locations like Atlanta, California, there are Texas, Florida, you're getting inundated with requests from recruiters. It's crazy. I'm going to close the poll and just tell you that 86% of you should be proud of yourselves for getting it right, that it was 75% of CPAs will be retired in 10 years. A few others got close with 25%, but no cigar there.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's an important statistic to keep in mind. 75% of active practicing CPAs are going to be retired, within 10 years. And as CPA will back me right up on that statistic. I mean, those are real statistics. That's not stuff I'm throwing out there to scare you into joining the profession. Although if it works, great. But these are real statistics. We desperately, as you're saying, Jeff, we desperately need people coming into this profession.
Michael, before you move on, I just want to make the point that think of the opportunity when you realize if 75% of CPAs are retiring in 10 years and you're a student today and you're 22, so almost by the time you're like just over 30, there is a massive economic opportunity, a lucrative opportunity for CPAs to own small firms because most of those CPAs are probably in smaller firms. I mean, it's off the chart economic opportunity for everybody on this call, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't have the statistics in this slide deck, But if you're interested, shoot us a message afterwards, and we can put you in contact with some people that can get you some really interesting information, because there's something like 30,000 firms that are small, under 5 CPAs, and almost all of those firms are being run by that 75% of people that are getting out of this profession. And those firms, they need someone to come in and take their firm over. And they desperately need somebody to come in and service their clients. This is a great profession. It's a lucrative profession. There's just a ton of opportunity if you're willing to take some risk and jump in and do it. All right, let's dive back in here. So what I want to do is I want to sort of synthesize my thoughts about today's focus for the profession versus tomorrow's focus. So today, as we talked about, the focus of the accounting profession, the focus of public accounting, is on compliance. Public accounting today, as we talked about, has a very reactionary service model. Audit and tax, that's most of what public accounting today looks like. We take the numbers from your business and we use those to prepare compliance documents like we talked about, financial statements and tax returns. Most of this work is done after the fact, meaning after the year's been completed, I do your tax return. After the year's been completed, I do your financial statement. Occasionally today, CPA firms are offering proactive services like what they call tax planning, or maybe financial accounting research if you're with a bigger firm on FASB pronouncements, different things like that related to accounting standards. This has been the model for the past 100 years in public accounting. And I firmly believe that many accountants, many public accountants today, truly believe that this compliance reactionary service model is the model that's going to work for the next 100 years. And I strongly disagree with that thought about the future. While I think that we still may be doing some of those things like tax returns, like financial statements in the future, I feel that it's my opinion that CPAs who choose to follow that sort of compliance-based, all they want to do is reactionary business, they're really going to start struggling over the next 10 to 15 years. So that's where we are today. So what does tomorrow look like? I think tomorrow, the focus is going to be on consulting, or this idea of being proactive, a proactive service model. I think that we need to make the shift from compliance focus to consulting focus. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the word consulting, but I think it's a word that is relevant and everybody understands. We're going to stick with it today. So instead of being reactionary to the needs of our clients, we need to develop and implement proactive business models for our firms. And one of the ways that we can begin to accomplish this is by creating and developing new service offerings for our clients. So things like looking at our clients' numbers, their financial statement, their tax numbers, for example, and looking at those as a way to maybe help us rationally predict the future success and possibilities of their business. So we need to move beyond simple, what we would call KPI, key performance indicator analysis, and we need to look to see if our clients' numbers tell a bigger story about their company as a whole. So things that are going to help us get there, things like outsourced accounting, doing cash flow and projection analysis, sales reviews, etc. There's a lot of different services that we can come up with that are more consulting, more proactive focused than compliance focused. We need to begin anticipating changes in the environment, the business environment, that are going to impact our clients. We need to become visionaries for our clients. We need to help them to see a future that they might not be able to see because they spend all of their time in their business. It's our job, it's actually our responsibility to anticipate changes for our clients. We need to help our clients see the road ahead. We need to act as guides. We need to act as trailblazers. We need to show them how to adopt and adapt their service models and products when necessary. We need to help our clients focus, as Michael Gerber in his book, The E-Myth says, we need to help them focus on their business and not in their business. So we need to help our clients see that when they work on their business, it can be a lot more profitable than in their business. And I wish I had time. I have a great story of a guy I worked with recently, a young guy who runs an auto restoration company. And you would think, hey, just do his tax return and move on. But no, this guy, you can see the potential, you can see his passion for what he does, but his problem was he was spending all his time cutting sheet metal, sanding old cars down. And I said, look, if you can move beyond working in your business and you can begin focusing on on your business and make that your project, things can really grow. And I'll tell you what, this year, 2015, he has really taken off. He's really spent a lot of time focusing on his business. And I'd love to get into a story. We don't have time now, but perhaps the main reason that we're able to offer, I think, this type of proactive, anticipatory services for our clients, the reason that we're able to do that now, whereas in the past they weren't able to do that, is one word: technology. Technology has allowed us to outsource, to automate many of those technical, input-driven tasks that CPAs used to focus on in the past. Things like bookkeeping, things like journal entries, those kinds of very technical, detail-focused input work. Those are now outsourced using technology. And because we're able to outsource and because we're able to automate many of those time-heavy tasks, we're now able to spend our time focusing on adding value in proactive ways to our clients. Technology, it's allowed us to have better, more accurate, and timely information in essentially real time about our clients. And with that real data and that real time data, we're way better able to advise and alert our clients to changes in their businesses. So now I want to talk about 4 trends that are going to impact the future of public accounting. So these are trends that as you go into the profession right now, and as you go, you start growing in your career over the next 10 to 15 years, these are 4 trends that I think are going to play a big role. And I'm going to hit on these really, really briefly, okay? So if you have questions, if you want more detailed information about these trends that we're going to see play out over the next 10 years, hit us up afterwards and we'll get you information. I can give you the slide deck and give you my notes so that we can get into and start talking about these trends specifically, because I can give you examples of firms doing all these. So the first trend that we're going to look at is just this idea of consolidation. All right, so 10 to 15 years ago, so looking back 10 to 15 years ago, firms were growing 20% plus organically. And what I mean by organically is they weren't buying other firms to grow, right? So they had new clients coming in, they were offering new services to their clients, and their top lines were growing north of 20% 10 to 15 years ago. Today, growth at leading firms, so growth at top 100 firms that are very proactive and they're doing things like raising their billing rates, etc. Those proactive firms, growth at leading firms today is 6% if you had a good year. And so because of that, partner groups at firms are pressuring themselves to sort of ramp it up. And so one of the ways that firms have found that they can grow their top lines rapidly and ultimately grow their bottom lines as well is by acquiring other firms. And so if you read any accounting publications like Accounting Today or anything like that, you're going to see almost daily articles coming across about firms, especially top 100 firms, merging in smaller firms. And they're merging them in for a number of different reasons. They're trying to sustain growth at their firm. They're trying to grow more than 6%. But then what they're doing is they're acquiring firms so that they can acquire the qualified staff. Because a lot of these firms have a real shortage, as we've been talking about over and over again, in partner potential staff at their firms. And so one of the ways that they can sort of fill that pipeline inside of their firm is they can go out and acquire a firm that maybe has a deeper pipeline. So they can go out and buy some young partners from another firm. They can buy those firms out so that those guys can come in, those guys and gals can come in and run their firms. So another reason that we're seeing firms go out and purchase other firms is this idea of adding specialized niches to their firms. And so there's a firm even here locally that wanted to get into business valuation. And business valuation is a very specialized, it requires separate credentials from what CPA is. And it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to develop that expertise in-house. And so you know what they did? They just went out and they found a CPA firm that all they did was valuations. There's 8 or 10 people there. And they went out and they bought that firm. And so instantly, they now have a valuation practice in-house. They have people that are qualified to do valuations in-house. So this idea of consolidation, you're going to continue to see it over and over and over again. And so we mentioned that there's about 30,000 small firms in the United States, right? And most of those need someone to take that firm over in the next 10 to 15 years. Well, honestly, there's not going to be a lot of younger folks like yourselves, I don't think, that are going to go out and buy those. I want you to. We need you as a profession to go in and buy those small firms up. But if they're not able to, if these small firms aren't able to find a younger person to come in and run them, what they're going to end up doing is they're going to end up selling their firm. They're going to merge upstream. They're going to go into a larger firm. So this idea of consolidation, it's a crazy M&A world out there right now for public practice. And in 10 or 15 years from now, it's going to be off the charts over the next 10 to 15 years. Next topic we're going to hit on real briefly, that's a major trend in public accounting today, is this focus on diversity. This is not a trend I think that most of us think on a very regular basis about, but it's a trend that AICPA has taken a huge interest in the past number of years. Because the profession of public accounting, we have a very serious problem with diversity. And so this is not something that the profession takes lightly. We know we have a problem and we're trying to fix it. You know, the number of minorities in CPA firms lags greatly behind the number of minorities as a percentage in the United States. And so many many state societies of CPAs, as well as national organizations like the AICPA, are taking a big interest and are making a targeted effort to increase minority awareness and availability of accounting programs, and making available accounting programs to minority students in the United States. And so, as you can see there on the slide, right now, in terms of ethnic minorities, just 20% of public accounting firm staff, somewhere around that, and 5% of partners are those minorities. That's just a staggering percentage when you look at the percentage of overall in the United States, and that's got to change. And so another significant issue, kind of following right along with that, has to do with the issue of the number of women that are in the profession. While in recent years, actually the number of women entering public accounting actually exceeds the number of men. There's more women going into accounting programs and there's more women going into public practice now than there are men. However, the total number of women in the profession is still only about 45% of the total profession is women, but more staggering than that, and I think the bigger issue among CPA firms is that in the partner group, so when we look at the top level of public accounting firms, only 20% of partners at public accounting firms are women, 20%. And I think that this is something that just has got to change. It's really a very sad state that we're in right now in public accounting. But however, change is happening. And so we're starting to see a lot more smaller firms that are being run by women very successfully. And we're starting to see that the larger firms are encouraging more women to make their way up to the partner ranks in the firms. And they're opening those opportunities up. And so recently, the AICPA has done a much better job promoting diversity in the profession. And they've begun promoting statistics which show that diversity in the workforce, diversity in firm ownership, has a tremendous bottom line impact to our businesses. You know, as our countries become more diverse, as we as a profession, we've lagged behind. And AICPA is concerned, us in public accounting, we're concerned that if we don't increase our focus on diversity, we're not going to remain relevant in the future. But I do want to say this, that it's super important to know that AICPA is not promoting, us in public accounting, we're not promoting diversity as a way to quote what AICPA said. They're not trying to fill a quota, but they're showing that there's tremendous research out there that shows that a diversity in staff, a diversity in leadership leads to diversity in thought, which ultimately leads to increased success in decision making and increased success in terms of the bottom line. Diversity works, and as a profession, we need to continue emphasizing diversity in the profession. All right, so jumping down, oh no, we got a poll question. Jeff, you want to throw a poll question 3 up there?
Let's do it. I am currently what? A student, being a freshman, sophomore, junior. A student, I'm a senior, I'm a master's student, or I'm out of school. And so I'm curious where everybody's fitting in here, because I know we had some graduates who are, this is keeping true to a lot of the trends. Michael, just while people are answering, this is fascinating, man. I mean, this is incredible content, and I think like we need to get back and do another one of these and dive into some of these topics even deeper, because
Absolutely.
this impacts everybody's career on this call. Yeah, thanks a lot. So a lot of the folks are out of school or master students is
Okay.
the majority here. So I think we've got everybody. I'll give you 3 seconds, everybody. Then we're gonna close it up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thanks, everybody. And back to you, Mike.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jeff. So we're running a little bit short on time. So I'm going to blow through this trend because I think we've hit it a little bit earlier. But let me just talk about this trend of succession planning. So as a profession, we're not seeing succession planning happening, especially small firms like we need to. So out of those 30,000 or so small firms, probably actually close to 35,000 small firms in the United States, reports are showing that 50% don't have a succession plan. Now, these are folks that are going to be retiring in 10 years and they have no succession plan. There's opportunity and it's real. Firm valuations are dropping. I don't want to bore you with this, but let's just put it this way. These sole proprietors, these people in small firms, they're having a hard time meeting their retirement needs by selling their firms. So they need people to come in and run those firms for them. And even large firms, they're really struggling filling their pipelines with partner quality staff. If you're interested in succession planning, I live it today. I'm the succession plan for my partner. She started the firm 15 years ago. I'm her succession plan. So if you're interested in succession planning, talk to me later and I can give you some more information. Finally, I want to hit on the trend of pricing. So there's a big push in the profession, especially among the younger partners, people like myself, a couple other people that are going to be in the Meet the Firms week later on in the week, people like Jason Blummer, that are focusing on this shift from hours-based pricing, hours-based billing, to value-based pricing. And so this is the idea that I don't charge for my hours here at the firm. So traditional public accounting firms, out of the top 100, about 99 of them bill by the hour, and they don't do value-based pricing. But that's a concept that a lot of millennials are really struggling with. I struggle with myself. And that's the idea that is it really fair and is it the best way to charge for my services by tracking my time and putting a dollar value on my time and billing based on those hours? Or should I come up with some prices based on the value of the service that I'm providing to the client and charge a fixed price for that on a monthly basis to my customers? What's most fair to my customers? What's most fair to the firm? We want to be paid for providing value and not by running up our hours. That's just not a concept I believe in. Value pricing is a huge win-win. I have an awesome story in my notes. I'm not going to have time to get into it, but about how value pricing works and about how there's tremendous cost savings to our customers at times, tremendous value add to our customers, tremendous cost savings and value add to the firm. It's a win-win. As we go into a new generation of firm owners, people like myself, people like those of you on the call, as you guys start taking over firms, I think you're going to realize that this hours-based pricing doesn't work as well as the existing firm partner owners as they want you to believe. Clients want something different. They want value. They don't want hours. So I want to end this presentation by just encouraging and challenging each of you to think about the future of public accounting. I want you to think about the trends that we've talked about. I want you to think about, what do you want your future to look like? Do you want to get stuck in a large firm that's unable to adapt to change? Or do you want to get stuck in that firm that's compliance focused and it's reactionary? Or do you want to learn public accounting? Do you want to practice public accounting in a firm that's nimble and it's able to quickly adjust and adapt to the needs and demands of a constantly changing client base? Of course, I'm biased, right? However, I think that life in a small firm is going to give you exposure to a new world of public accounting that you're not going to be able to get at a larger firm. Sure, I don't have a high-rise office building with a great view. I'm sitting here in tiny Burton, Ohio, with a population under 2,000, right? But I think that a small firm is going to give you exposure to clients that you're not going to be able to get, exposure to opportunities you're not going to get in a large firm. you're going to be able to service your clients in a small firm in a way that the big firms can only imagine. And if that sounds appealing to you, I implore you, go out, find a small firm, and start your career there. We don't have time. I was going to jump into the last slide on my slide deck is my story. So how I got to where I am, how am I managing a firm at 28 years old? How did I get here? What did my career look like? I don't have time to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a video and we're going to throw it up on the Meet the Firms Week website at some point. And should maybe email a link out to you so you can watch it on YouTube later on. So with that, we have our final polling question, Jeff.
All right.
And we're going to jump into Q&A after that.
So this is a question. What type of firm are you hoping to start your career with if you're in the middle of your career? And what type of firm are you looking to jump into next? And if you're not looking to change, just fire off. I don't care. But because I know there's a lot of folks who are out of school on the call as well. Michael, thanks for offering to do a video on your story. I absolutely would love to shoot that and put that up on our site, on our blog, where we have a ton of resources for accountants and accounting students, and maybe even hit a couple more webinars in the future because this is great stuff.
Fantastic. I would like that.
Yeah. So interesting. About 40% of the audience is saying, "Look, I don't care where I'm going to start my firm with." 20% says small firm. 13% says a large local firm, 13% says large regional firm, and 16% says the big four. So what I'm picking up is that it's actually spread quite evenly, except for that I think there's a lot of folks who are in the I don't care bucket either because they're employed or because they're really just looking for that next job. And I think this is important. And Michael, the question I'm going to, as I close this up, is you made your case for a small firm, and the question I want to ask you is, and I know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is a small firm lucrative? Can you make a lot of money working in a small firm?
So that's a loaded question.
I know.
But let me answer it like this. You probably can't make as much money in a small firm as you can make in a big four firm, right? So you certainly at a big four firm, you might be able to pull in, 400,000 or 500,000 if you make partner. It's going to take you 20 years to make partner, but you're not going to make that kind of money in this size of a small firm. But what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to control your life. You're going to be able to have integration that you can't get at a larger firm. And you're going to have to make the personal decision about, what's worth what to you, right? And so for me, integration, family, that's worth more than $400,000 a year to big four firm.
And waiting 20 years to get to that point. I know
right, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
$2,000 a year in their 30s.
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier about a shortage of PhDs. Did I have that right?
Yeah, for sure. So the accounting profession, we have a serious shortage of. One of the things that they talked to us about at the AICPA's Leadership Academy was just that, and that there's a real need for bright students that maybe are more research focused than me, because I'm not smart enough to do that. But there are a number of students out there that are, and there's not enough PhD programs. We just don't have the students, and we don't have the PhD programs that are needed to fill those accounting faculty roles. We just don't have them.
It's the thing that I took away from, well, I took away a lot, but the talent shortage and the opportunity in the future to own firms, to take over small firms, to acquire small firms. When we have Chris Farman and Jason Blummer coming on later in the week, who they subscribe to the same value pricing that you do, but the small firm opportunity, I don't think people are talking about this on college campuses, and it is massive, is it not?
It's huge. I mean, part of the problem we see is that accounting professors, I mean, I'll just be honest, I took a lot of online classes, so I don't have to deal with it as much, but when you're face-to-face with accounting professors, and those guys are pushing Big Four. A lot of them have Big Four backgrounds, and those guys are really pushing Big Four. And I mean, Big Four is a great place to start your career. Don't get me wrong. The Big Four, you're going to get awesome experience, but they're not, what the professors are not doing is they're not giving students the opportunity. They're not sharing with them the opportunities that exist at small firms.
Couple rapid fire. So when you were talking about the AICPA, and you're talking about our issues with diversity in the accounting profession. Charles jumped in and wanted to make a point, and I agree with it, that he's a member of the National Association of Black Accountants, or NABA. And it's worth
Mhm.
mentioning what a great resource NABA is for young Black
Yeah.
accountants and accounting students. And I couldn't agree more. Alpha ALPFA is absolutely, these are two of the best organizations out there. We
Yeah.
want them to be more involved, these two organizations, with Meet the Firms Week. But I'm glad you're here, Charles, and thanks for pointing that out. Most schools have a chapter for NABA, a chapter for Alpha as well. Just to comment on that. So, Michael, this is one thing I want to throw out to you is we had a lot of questions. We're not going to take the time to ask a lot of the questions, but I gave out your Twitter handle earlier, and I would encourage folks, hopefully you're on Twitter, to fire off questions to Michael just through his Twitter handle and do a hashtag MTF. Michael, if you get any questions, would you mind responding over Twitter?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, and we'll try to actually field a couple of them as well, just to get them out there. Um, Before we wrap up, I want to show everybody something that I'm going to change the screen over back to me, Michael.
Okay.
If I can, this will take just a second. All right, cool. So, one thing I wanted to send everybody to, just so what you knew, was I'm going to send out this link one more time. This is a link on my chat. So, Gleim CPA Review is an awesome resource, guys. If you have not taken the CPA exam, go check them out. I just sent out a link. You can do three things. If you're ready to purchase CPA Test Prep, they're offering a CPA exam discount, 15%. Secondly, they're offering a free just demo. You pick the section and you get to try out Gleim. This is a wonderful product. And thirdly, just stop by and chat. I'm going to show you, since you're looking at my screen, where this is all about the Gleim. There's a little video we did with Gleim, and there's a comment section down here at the bottom. Monica from Team Gleim is going to be on hand. Say hi, say thanks, tell them where you're at in the CPA exam process. If you have any questions about Gleim, if you have any questions about the CPA exam, she's going to be hanging out for an hour by that channel. And I'm going to leave this post to our site for everybody. So we know that people can find you, Michael, on Twitter. You gave out you give me your it's GEAUGACPA, but I'm gonna put that back in through here.
Yeah, it's Geauga. It's at Geauga CPA, GEAUGA CPA at Geauga CPA. Geauga's the county I live in.
So, folks, ask Michael questions. Your minds are probably a little bit blown by some of the topics because we're not talking about them in school typically, from billing and the pricing, especially the opportunity. Michael, this is awesome. I can't wait to actually watch this back because we are talking to firms constantly. We're addressing the talent shortage. It's a real issue. I hope everybody's paying attention. And I think we think that, what do we think from that test question? About 90% of the people are paying attention.
Right.
Folks, please check out Gleim. They help put this event on, and we love the guys over at Gleim, Monica and her team. So thank you for that. Michael, that's it for today, man. Thanks for being a part of this, for a wonderful session. We really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Good luck with the rest of Meet the Firms week.
Thanks so much. It's been an awesome week so far. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the next session. We got sessions at 11 and 2 every day. Be there because that's when we're passing out free stuff. We've got some cool surprises on Wednesday and Thursday. You won't want to miss that. All right, Michael, bye. Thank you so much. See you, everybody.
Yeah.